All right, fine. I'll do it. So it seems like all that anybody is talking about over the last couple of days is Colt stopping manufacturing of M4s. So I guess that's the thing I have to do because everybody else is. Honestly, I'm really just getting tired of commenting about it on social media and the Facebooks and the tweeters, or I don't do the tweeters, the Instagrams and uh, the YouTubers and all the social things. Everybody is fucking losing their minds over that shit, and it's so annoying. It's not a conspiracy. It's not the government telling them not to sell rifles to civilians. It's real fucking simple, guys. You people lost your damn minds when Obama got elected on like election night 2000, what was it, 2008. You guys went out and bought everything. Every pew that was anywhere, y'all bought it. People were neck bearding 22 long rifle. Maybe some people watching this video might not have been into the gun scene back then, but it was fucking crazy. Like there was nothing on the shelves. If you were into 10 millimeters, great, because like that's the only thing that was left. People went nuts. And I mean, I say you people, but like everybody bought a bunch of shit. And like you couldn't buy PMags, you couldn't find 22 ammo. Everybody bought an AR and AR parts and stripped receivers and like all the stuff. So manufacturers predictably spun up their manufacturing capacity. I mean, that's what you do. You increase supply to meet demand, and you get them quadloos. But if you're not stupid, you won't spin up production to the point where you won't realize an ROI. You know that this temporary bump in demand is, well, temporary. It's going to go away. And it did. It did go away. Trump got elected, and despite all of his talking about banning stuff and his sometimes actually doing the banning stuff, people didn't really panic. People didn't really care anymore. People had gotten all the stuff that they wanted, and the credit card bills started coming home, and people people didn't buy as much gun stuff. Not only that, people started selling some of the gun stuff that they got. They're like, well, maybe I overreacted a bit. So they sold a bunch of used guns. And remember that Colts sells a lot of M4s to the government. And M4 like rifles to other branches of the government besides just the DoD. So civilian AR manufacturer is kind of a small portion of their business. It's not that they don't want to sell ARs to civilians, but it's not the most profitable thing they can be in right now, especially with the market drying up the way it is. And it's not that nobody would buy an AR. And I know a bunch of you are going to say, well, I want a 6920. Well, you can still get a 6920. You may not remember that shortly after the panic, there were 6920s at Walmart for like $500. Again, demand rocking it up there. Everybody speeds up their production and meets that demand, and there's a bunch of shit on the shelves. And Walmart is carrying Colt 6920s during the height of the panic, right? I mean, they'd come in, and immediately go out. People would have like backdoor deals with the with the employees. Shit was crazy back then. And again, the demand started to dry up. Rifles started staying on the shelves. Walmart's like, I'm tired of this shit. They started selling them M4s for $500. And that leads me to Walmart's decision about the whole not carrying short barrel rifle ammo, like whatever the fuck that is. Now that at least in their case, Walmart did put an anti-gun spin on it, but I don't think they give a fuck about the politics either. Again, it was just monetary, that people weren't buying the stuff as much anymore, and they're like, yeah, we don't really care about it. It's not making that much money. So I think they were probably looking to downsize their firearm and ammo stuff in the sporting goods section anyway. Because, dude, face it, only FUDs buy guns and ammo at Walmart. And they're just buying duck guns and whatnot anyway. Walmart didn't give a shit about it. They don't care about the politics of it. And I'm not saying, oh, go out there and support Walmart because they're so great, because it was really just some 80-70 tiddlywinks Trump move. No, it's really just complete indifference on their part. They don't care. And the same thing with their whole ban on open carry. That's also about as I don't give a fuck, but please everybody come in here and give me money as you can get, because they don't want people walking around mainly with long guns scaring the shit out of their customers. Like, if I ran a real retail store that's not like a gun store, I don't want you coming in there with a slung AR. It's my business. Not that you don't have the right to do that, wherever else. But it's odd. It's unusual. It scares the shit out of the normies. I know, you're fine. You're not going to shoot up the place. But the normies don't know that. No, the normies get scared and then they don't spend their money, and I want their money. So again, I understand Walmart's decision on that too. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think what would have been better for Walmart to do is to put out some direction to their managers that, like, hey, look, somebody comes in there, starts making a scene or something and attracting a lot of attention, go have a conversation with them. Tell them to get out. You don't have to set up a policy. You just have to tell your managers that, like, look, we're not going to fire you for telling somebody to leave when they're making a scene. Colts isn't making decisions based on some kind of shadow government conspiracy or any kind of anti-gun shit. And I'm not saying that they couldn't be. I'm just saying that practically speaking, all that really makes sense is there are a ton of AR manufacturers out there. Some of them are pretty decent. Some of them are really shitty. There are the Andersons out there. There are the Palmettos out there. And then there's like the Daniel Defense. And you can go to Bravo Company and buy, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything. Like, the only thing that I own from Bravo Company, I paid for. So I'm totally not chilling. But you could go to Bravo Company and you could buy like the rifle you want, like dialed down, gas system, barrel length, all of that exactly the way you want it. Colt doesn't do that. But Bravo Company makes rifle parts and complete rifles that are every bit the quality of Colts at a lower price and more customizable. How the fuck is Colt going to compete with that unless they do like the same thing, which would cost them a lot more money? And they're like, all this shit we spent on spinning up production. We're like, no, sell off what they have, come back to it later when there's more demand. Again, bunch of Colts out there. Why do you buy a Colt? To have that pony. That's the only reason you buy a Colt, is to get that pony and collect My Little Pony all day long. And and until that Colt name starts to build up its brand value again, they're going to be in a better business position by not flooding the market with more My Little Ponies. I saw a bunch of comments flash up there, so I'm going to take a look at, let me mute this so I don't hear myself talking to myself, and take a look at the comments. Oh, that's the bad side of my head. Oh, wait. They're both bad. All right. Let me skim through here. If I miss somebody, sorry. But there are over 400 companies manufacturing AR-15s. Right. Exactly. It's very simple. I'm so sick. Dude, people in the gun community go like full drama queen about stuff like this. It's it's frankly embarrassing how people just lose their fucking minds over it. Omar, what's up? Buy Mart might have a $16 sale. Buy 6920 in 2016 for 720 with Magpul furniture. Exactly. There were a bunch of really good deals out there for 6920s back in the day. Colt needs to make a 10 millimeter. You mean like the Delta Elite? Can they make a 10 millimeter AR? Problem is, Colt still thinks they can sell their commoditized ARs for a premium just because of the prancing pony on the side. Sorry, but they aren't the other prancing pony. And I mean, that cuts to it, is that yes, Colt makes a better AR than most companies out there. 20 years ago, pre 9/11, pre GWAT, just after the sunset of before the sunset of the assault weapons ban, there were like 3 companies making ARs in any serious quantity. There was Colt, there's Bushmaster, there's DPMS. And yeah, there were some other companies out there that were making ARs and AR parts. There was like Model 1 sales, and there was Rock River, and there's stuff but like in any serious quantities, that was pretty much it. Colt, Bushmaster, and DPMS were like running the market. And out of those 3, Colt was the only one that was making a good AR. Sorry, if you have a Bushmaster or DPMS and you think it's just as good, it's not. It's not just as good. It may be good enough for your purposes, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not just as good as a Colt. Now, there are quite a few companies out there that are arguably making much, much better products than Colt did. Did. Maybe will again. Yet, rock is fine. Got a 14.5-inch barrel from BCM. Nice barrel. I need to do a video on that 12-inch upper that I got from BCM. I fucking love that thing. It's not a very common barrel length. Guaranteed higher status. What the fuck? Is this an advertisement here? Is this case dismissed guaranteed? Is that an ad? What is that shit? Are you guys need a high-paying job with no boss? Call us. Yeah, there's like I wonder if it's a bot. Case dismissed. If you're a person, say, I like carne asada with fries. Liar. What do you mean? Andrew, you liar. You have dozens of guns to shoot. I've never said. Oh, that's a real person. Okay. Interesting. That's so weird. I don't think I've ever seen someone advertising that way. I only want a Colt because that's what I carried in combat. Why would I shoot it? Probably not much. Yeah, I mean, Andrew, strong and manly. I absolutely agree. I mean, I would someday. I keep saying this. I'm going to die before I get around to my someday. Someday, I would like to have a collection of U.S. military rifles, starting somewhere around Trapdoor, Springfield, something like that. M1903, M1 Garand, an M14. I have an M1A. I guess it's close enough for now. I'd like to have like an M16A1 clone, an M16A2 clone. An M4 6920. I'd like to have as much as possible, as many US small arms as I could. And yeah, I mean, you want to get as close to the M4 or the M16 that you were issued, you gotta go to Colt or FN. They're the only ones that make, like, down to the roll mark exactly the same thing. Kind of, there was that whole sporter thing, my pre-band Colts. I have, yeah, they put together like a whole bunch of, there's this weird period that he's talking about. Who's that? William Devine. There's this period that Colt went through in like the 80s where they were just like slapping together all kinds of weird stuff, and they had some proprietary things. Like they had, I have an AR that's technically, it is stamped. It is AR-15A2. So technically speaking, it's the only AR-15 I own. But it's one of those ones that has the front pivot pin that's the two-part screw together thing. If you haven't seen it before, look it up. It's wild. Instead of being a push pin for the pivot pin, it's a larger diameter hole. So you can't use that upper or that lower with standard AR uppers and lowers. It takes this special kind of pivot pin that's a two-part screw that goes together and screws. It has a weird large diameter round forward assist. It has the lower looks very A1. There's no fence around the magazine release. There's the barrel is a 20-inch 1-in-7 twist. It has A1 rear sights. It has A2 hand guards, A2 pistol grip and stock. Like, it's this weird mix of A1 parts, A2 parts, and some bizarre Colt bullshit. Trying to get caught up here so I can cut this live stream off, but I own several Anderson lowers with no issues. Yes, I understand that lots of people have Andersons and haven't had problems with them. I understand that Anderson probably did make some lowers that are dimensionally correct. When people say that such and such company is shit, sometimes they're just wrong. They're just repeating some internet myth or whatever. But generally speaking, when it's correct, when there's something behind it, they don't mean that every single thing that company puts out is a pile of useless garbage that doesn't work or breaks. What they mean is this company has a reputation for producing more than a normal amount of lemons. So a company like, say, BCM or Daniel Defense or LaRue or whatever, I don't know, just pick some quality companies. When they make a firearm, they reject some of the parts. They reject some of the complete firearms from time to time. They have quality control standards, objective metrics that every single item has to hit. And if they don't hit those metrics, they discard it. Maybe they tear it down. They use some of the parts in another build or whatever. Oh, sweet. Crypto Pirate 1776 threw some money in the tip jar. Thank you. Shake that tip jar. They throw stuff out. And that's what you're paying for. You're not just paying for the gun you got. You're paying for the gun you didn't get. You're paying for the other guns that they threw away in making your gun. Quality manufacturers use MP tested bolts and barrels at a minimum. MP stands for magnetic particle. They run a charge through it and they put like iron filing. I'm oversimplifying, but they put a charge through the, they fire a proof load through the barrel with that bolt. They run a charge through it. They use some iron filings or some magical pixie dust or whatever that shows the magnetic field lines. And where, if there's message retracted, but $5 in the tip jar. Sweet, thank you. If there are microscopic flaws in the metal, cracks in the metal that will appear in those magnetic flux lines, that test is another step in manufacturing process that a lot of companies don't bother doing, but the point of the test is to identify failed components and throw them away. Companies like Anderson aren't doing that. They're not throwing away any, they're not failing anything in QC. So when we say that Anderson is shit, it's not that your Anderson is shit. It's that you have a higher probability of getting a lemon when you buy from a company like that. And sometimes those lemons may not show up until 5,000 rounds into it. Military surplus don't get expensive. Yeah, dude, Joe, so many guns that I either owned and sold or traded at some point because screw it, it's not that. It's a Mosin. I'll throw in a Mosin Nagant with this trade here. Like I had this cool M44 carbine with the side folding bayonet. Got rid of that. So many guns like that I should have kept. Back in the 70s and 80s, made some of the best wheel guns in the world. Yeah, I've never owned a Colt revolver, but I've handled and fired a few of them, and superficially, I don't like the cylinder release thing. I like the way the Smith & Wesson does it more. It just makes more sense to me to push forward instead of back. But like as far as quality, holy shit, Colts are amazing. Or were. Do they even make revolvers still? No, they make 1911s. Eugene, Colt is awarded a contract like practically every year. I mean, I'm being somewhat hyperbolic. I don't know exactly the schedule of the renewal of the contract with DOD and all the alphabet, the DEA and FBI, and like a ton of those agencies purchase Colt's firearms, of course. Again, doesn't make it any kind of government conspiracy. That's just where the core of their business is. And oh, by the way, they also sell guns to civilians. It's economics, guys. It's just economics. All of us, went batshit crazy, bought a whole bunch of AR stuff, and then decided, we don't really care about that anymore. Silly manufacturers spinning up your production capacity to meet some demand in a frivolous market that we're just going to change our minds. Lamenting all oversold guns. Well, yeah. I mean, don't we all? The new Ruger revolvers have. Colonel Ham Sanders says the new Ruger revolvers have a friggin' awesome trigger. Compared them side by side to the new Smith & Wessons. Ruger's trigger wins hands down. Color me skeptical. Ruger's always made some fairly decent stuff at a good price. But I've never been fond of Ruger triggers. I suspect that the reason you posted that is because you know that Rugers are not known for having great triggers, and between Smith & Wesson and Ruger, it's if you're making that decision, the trigger's probably going to play into it. So I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I don't believe you until I touch one. If that's true, that's awesome. Okay, I think I'm all caught up then. Thunder Ranch's ubiquity. Okay. Guys, it's always fun hanging out with you. Thank you for tolerating my retard. And dude, stop being so dramatic. It's not a conspiracy. It's not the government after. Oh shit, a whole bunch more comments. Okay. I think we're good. You guys can finish the whole 30 carbine love in the comments, but I am out of here. I've screwed off at work long enough. Stop being so dramatic. It's not a government conspiracy. It's just fucking economics, guys. Tomorrow, I'm going to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is here in Phoenix again. And I'm going to see if I can stalk some of the the other YouTube celebrities there. Well, I'm not the other YouTube people who are actually celebrities there, and see if I can. I don't know. I'll see if I can harass them or something. I should come up with something fun to do, like ask them all for an autograph fleshlight or something. I don't know. But I'm going to I'm going to cover the GRPC for ARFCOM, and while I'm there, I'm going to see if I can cause some problems. I love you.